All right, coming up on today's show, we have an interview with Navy veteran of the Vietnam War, Tom Whal. We have a veteran's profile of Staff Sergeant Harold LaBelle and some words from Veteran Services from Mike Hennessy. Welcome back to this month's episode of Veterans Voices, and today's interviewee will be Tom Whal, Navy veteran of the Vietnam War. So welcome, Tom, and would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born and raised?
Well, I was born in Chelsea.
Okay.
I was raised in Wilmington, Mass.
Okay.
When I got married, I moved to Winchester. Lived there for 11 years. Got transferred. My job took me out to the Saratoga area of New York, where I stayed for 8 years. And then I moved back to Massachusetts. I settled in Marlborough.
All right.
Unfortunately, it was one of the few communities I could afford to move into.
And so with your service, were you served in the Navy? Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay. And what made you choose the Navy over the other branches?
Well, my father was in for 30 years.
Okay.
He served in World War I and World War II.
Okay.
In fact, he was at Pearl Harbor.
Really?
So I said, if he could take it for 30, I can try it for a few.
All right. And, growing up, you probably heard lots of stories. Was your dad on active duty when you were younger?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so did you travel around as a youngster?
Well, no. Unfortunately, he and my mom got divorced.
Okay.
When she was pregnant with me.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't travel anywhere with him.
Yeah. But you heard the stories and were interested? All right. What was his job in the Navy?
He was a hospital corpsman.
Okay.
They called him a pharmacist mate back then.
Okay. All right. So that's why you went in with the Hospital Corpsman.
Oh, I actually stopped in the Naval Reserve Training Center in Lowell, Mass. I was out riding around one day, and I saw the sign. I walked in. Lieutenant walked up to me and says, "Can I help you?" I said, "I'm just interested in finding out a little bit about the Naval Reserve." He says, "Put up your right hand. I'll tell you all about it."
Nice. And after you put up your right hand and he told you all about it, did you obviously went to boot camp. Where did you go to boot camp, and what other trainings did you receive?
I went to boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois, but only for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Don't ask me why, but 2 weeks. Got it through the basics, I guess.
Yeah.
Call it basic training. It's really basic.
Yeah, 2 weeks is pretty basic, yeah.
Never fired a weapon.
Yeah?
The indoor rifle range was under repair, and of course, there was only about 3 or 4 feet of snow outside, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot outside.
Yeah. So you were at boot camp in the cold up there in Chicago?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I landed up there. Oh, it was December-ish. Got off the plane in Chicago, and you hear all these stories about Chicago. It was 40 degrees, the sun was shining. There wasn't a drop of snow on the ground. And we had just had 2 18-inch snowstorms here, back to back. I said, did they land in the right airport?
Yeah.
3 days later, it started snowing, and it snowed every day.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you when you joined the reserves and you went into the Navy, did you know that you were going to be a hospital corpsman?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That you signed up for that?
Yes.
And so for our viewers that might not be familiar, what is the job of a hospital corpsman in the Navy?
Well, yeah, basically the doctor's assistant, but you report to nursing.
Okay.
Okay. The nurses are in charge.
Mm-hmm.
We even had 24 of them on the ship.
Okay.
I don't want to get into that, but
Yes.
ancient history.
Yeah.
The knowledge of some of these girls. I went to school for 3 months
Mm-hmm.
to become a hospital corpsman. It was supposed to be 4, but they were running short in the field, so I guess we provide them to the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And they pushed us through in 3 instead of 4.
Okay. And then what year did you enlist in the Navy?
65.
65. Okay. And so, like Tom said, for our viewers, the Marine Corps uses Navy hospital corpsmen as their field medics.
Right, because the Marine Corps is a division of the Navy.
Yep. And so you went to boot camp in Great Lakes, and then you did 3 months training as a hospital corpsman. Was that also in Great Lakes?
Oh, yes.
All right. Yeah. So you were there for
Following winter.
the following winter. Okay. And then were you first assigned to the Sanctuary, USS Sanctuary?
No, my first assignment was Chelsea Naval Hospital,
Okay.
which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't recognize that. Yeah.
It's all condos.
Yeah. And when were you assigned to the Sanctuary?
Actually, I flew out of Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino on Labor Day, 1967,
Okay.
to join the ship.
And where was the ship when you were headed?
Well, it was off the shore of South Vietnam. It sailed from Da Nang up to the DMZ and back
It just did a route like that.
every week.
Okay. And then, so the hospital, the USS Sanctuary is obviously, we know, is a hospital ship.
Yes.
So the Navy has, for a very long time, had multiple hospital ships, typically one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. During times of conflict, they'll activate them and bring them around. Currently, the USS Comfort, NS Comfort, USNS Mercy are the hospital ships the Navy has. And they're now crewed in the engineering, deck, and supply department by civilians in the Merchant Marine.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the medical department will embark aboard as to do missions. So they do quite a few missions each year, the humanitarian type stuff in the South Pacific and down in South America.
I was aboard that ship a little over a year.
Okay.
But in a year's time, we had 2,500 helicopters land on our helo tanks,
Oh wow. Yeah.
dropping off
Yeah.
casualties.
Yeah.
And if casualties made it out to the ship, they had a 97% chance of survival.
Okay. And so with the hospital ship being a hospital ship, I mean, did it have the capabilities of, like, we think of a hospital like Marlborough Hospital for the most part?
For the time, it had the best capabilities that I had seen in a naval hospital facility,
Okay.
including Great Lakes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the latest technology.
Yeah. And surgical suites.
5 of them.
Okay. And so like you said, if the troops made it to the ship, they had a very high survival rate.
Yes.
Okay. And what was a typical routine like for you on board the ship?
Every morning I'd get up around 6, shower, shave, get dressed. I stopped going to breakfast because I hate to say this to somebody that's still in the military, even if it's the reserves. The government gave us some excellent food, but Navy cooks could make it taste like that rugby.
Yeah. There's a special knack for making good food taste
And
better.
I finally met the chef one day. He weighed about 280 pounds. He was an E4, and he had 20 years in it. I said, now I know why the food sucks.
Yeah. And did you have a specific department you would report to?
When I first went over, I was what you want to call a medical surgical ward. I had a 45-bed ward that I was responsible for
Okay.
and reported to the medical officer. That coupled with I think it was about 15 or 18 beds across the hall for the locals. Mm-hmm. We call it the International Ward. It's for Vietnamese women and children.
Okay. So to go with that humanitarian thing,
Yes.
that's always been kind of a key piece of the
Yeah,
hospital.
you see some pictures of the kids in there.
Okay. All right. And you said basically you were going from the south up to Da Nang and back?
From Da Nang up to the DMZ.
Oh, Da Nang up to the DMZ. Okay.
Yeah.
Did the
Gulf
ship,
of Tonkin.
Gulf of Tonkin, did the ship ever go anywhere else or just stayed in that outbox?
Well, when I first got over there, once every 90 days, we'd go to Subic Bay Naval Station in the Philippines.
Okay.
Repairs and supplies and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then after a few months, they said, no, we need you on the line more, so you're going to be 120 days out at sea
Okay.
before you can go into Subic Bay.
Okay. So you probably only got to Subic Bay a few times when you were there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other interesting stories or things you'd like to share about your time aboard the hospital ship?
Well, I find them to be somewhat interesting. I don't know if the viewers will, but I mentioned them. fact that I was reported to nursing service,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was responsible to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, the Lieutenant JG just came out of nursing school. I don't know how they got their degrees. They must have passed their academic courses, but as far as medical courses go, I don't know. I caught them doing stupid things,
Yeah.
and I get yelled at.
Yeah.
You don't belong here now. Get out of here. And then I had later on, they transferred me to surgical. I worked for a general surgeon. And I had one patient, Army patient, Dana Taylor. I'll never forget him. He had, without a doubt, had 100 shrapnel holes between the shoulders and the heel on his left leg. The right leg was missing below the knee. And I had to clean and dress all those wounds every day and report the condition to the doctor. So I used to do them first thing in the morning, try to get it out of sight, get it out of the way. I had him in there one morning, and I always had coffee in my hand. I was a typical sailor.
Yep.
Coffee in one hand, cigarette in the other. And I said, Taylor, what are my manners? I'm so sorry. Would you like a cup of coffee? He says, oh, gee, could I have one, Doc? I said, sure. So I opened the door to the surgical dressing room. One of my Marine Corps sergeants was walking by. I said, Sarge, do me a favor, cook with a diet pantry, get Taylor a cup of coffee. No problem. He did it. The next thing I see is this Lieutenant J.G. nurse that's about 5 feet tall, yelling at him, standing in the doorway, yelling at my patient, telling him we had more important things to do in the morning than chase coffee for him, and who does he think he is, blah, blah, blah. And I was respectful. I said, excuse me, ma'am, but I asked the Sarge to get the coffee. She ignored me, like I wasn't even there. I just walked over, pushed her out the door, I said, get the hell out of here, you're bothering me and my patient.
Tom, what was your rank?
At that point, I was an E4,
Okay. And what did you get out as?
an E5.
Okay. So a Hospital Corpsman second class?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, a few minutes later, I knocked on the door. Of course, it was the lady I just asked to leave nicely. She says, Commander wants to see you up in her office. I said, well, I'm kind of busy right now. Tell the commander if it's that urgent. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So later on, when I finished, and I had to stand duty after that on the POD's desk, my chief and I, division chief, I went up to see the commander. And the commander said, well, I think there's probably a misunderstanding between you and Lieutenant J.G. Paradiso. And maybe it would be a good idea if you apologized. I said, number one, all due respect, wasn't anything I couldn't handle. It's been handled. It's off the books as far as I'm concerned. If you want to make something out of it, it's your prerogative. And I said, number two, I'm not apologizing to her because she has 1.5 gold bars on her hat. You've got 3 on yours. I won't apologize to you either. My chief was over there. Oh, God. I said, I love and respect my own mother. I won't apologize to her, so I don't think that I'm going to apologize to some woman because the Navy gave them 1.5 gold bars. That doesn't make them intelligent to me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you think you don't have to take orders from someone that might be younger than you. I said, I'd take orders from a monkey if they knew what they were talking about. So then she looks at me and she says, this isn't the first complaint I got about you. I said, oh, really? Let me think. Oh, yeah. Calamity Jane, Miss McGrath was the other one. Jane McGrath, I called her Calamity Jane. And she said, that's right. I said, yeah. The 2 girls that I know don't have any nursing skills.
Yeah.
But I said, don't take my word for it. Just name of 3 doctors. Consult them. And I said, by the way, I have to go on duty at the OLD's desk, so when we're done, I gotta go. But before I left, I said, look, if you want this, you can have it now. I came in this man's Navy without it. You can have it back. Won't mean crap to be in civilian life.
Yeah.
She didn't take it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Anyway, the next day, the chief nurse on the surgical floor that I worked, Lieutenant Commander Brackus, I called her mother. She was like our mother, so I called her mother. She comes up to me, she goes, "Wal, what happened yesterday between you and Lieutenant J.G. Paradiso?" I said, "Nothing, why?" "What are you talking about?" "The commander called all the junior nurses together and told them to lay off the senior corpsman."
After your time aboard the hospital ship, did you stay in the Navy? How did that,
Well, I came back to my reserve unit,
okay.
injured my back at my civilian job, and got the kiss of death.
Yeah.
Bureau of Medicine and Surgery sent me a letter asking me to request a medical discharge. And I didn't do this in the service. It's not service related. Why would I want a medical discharge?
Yeah.
So I didn't answer it.
Oh.
6 months later, I got a discharge, an honorable discharge in the mail, for the convenience of the government, recommended for re-enlistment if I could pass the physical.
And what year did you get out?
My discharge was dated January 1971.
Okay. So, okay. When did you come back from Vietnam?
I came back from Vietnam on Friday the 13th of September, 1968.
Oh, okay. Friday the 13th. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we took off from Da Nang Airport at about 5 minutes past 8 on Friday morning the 13th. And we landed in Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino, California at 10 minutes to 8 on Friday morning the 13th.
Yeah.
I got here 15 minutes before I left.
Nice. That works. You get a whole day back. Yeah.
After spending almost 20 hours in an aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned something too with the hospital ship that you treated Army personnel. Was the hospital ship open to any military personnel?
Even NBA,
Okay, so that you treated
the enemy as well.
the enemy as well. Okay. So our military. Now, did you treat South Vietnamese military?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Enemy military, NBA,
Yeah.
and the local population.
Right.
So obviously, I don't think Vietnam probably had the best of medical facilities from the beginning. So having the hospital ship there, you were able to probably help quite a few people.
Oh, quite a few, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't regret a minute of it, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I had the privilege for the last 6 months I was over there. I'm working with that general surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
He was out of, he grew up in Pennsylvania, but he was living in Ohio. He had married and had 5 kids.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of good times together.
Yeah.
He used to call me Gong,
Yeah.
short for Gomer.
Oh.
And I called him Chooch for months.
Yeah.
And he always responded. No.
Yeah.
Finally, one day we were doing some surgery, and he said, "Gong, pass me that 3-0 silk." So I, "Here you go, Chooch." And I said, "Oh, it dawned on me." I said, "You know what I've been calling you for the last 3 months?"
Yeah.
"This guy's lieutenant commander in the Navy."
Yeah.
He said, "No, what?" I said, "It means jackass in Italian."
You sound like you had quite a lot of fun with the officers you worked with.
Oh, yeah. We had a good rapport.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And then when you came back from Vietnam, you obviously had a civilian job, family, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, he offered me a position in his practice, his private practice, if I went to school and became a PA.
Mm-hmm.
And I considered it, but when I first came home, I just had enough blood and guts for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I had to, I'd get a job, make some money. I was engaged to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And about a year or so later, I decided maybe I should apply. So I applied to Duke University, because at that time they were the only school offering it. And I got shot down because I wasn't working in medicine since I got out.
Yeah.
And they had 25 seats open and 5,000 applications.
Whew. Yeah. And they were one of the only schools offering that type of.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Yeah. Did you, and if you did, when did you get involved with it? But did you get involved with any veterans organizations? Legion, AMVETS, VFW, any of that kind of?
I tried a Legion a couple of times
Yeah.
when I first got married and later on when I moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
But all I found to be was a place to hang out and drink.
Mm-hmm.
I could drink at home.
Yeah. There's not a lot of risk there. But
No.
Yeah.
I mean, not that the guys were bad.
Yeah.
Just that, you know, they get into a rut.
Yeah.
In fact, when I first got married and I moved to Winchester, my landlord was a registry inspector.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me when I rented the apartment upstairs, he said, if you ever get stopped for DUI, don't mention my name. But anything else, don't be afraid to use my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he drank like a fish.
Yeah.
He used to want to talk to go on joining the Legion.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Somebody to drink with.
Yeah. And so you know Mike from the pizza hours and the pizza time?
No, I know him before that.
Tom blends with I mean, that's what I was just going to talk about.
Okay.
I was going to have Tom chime in. There's a veterans group that goes around to just different events. You know, they come to Marlboro the third Thursday.
Yes.
Third Thursday of the month they're in Marlboro, then they go to Hudson, and then they go up to Clear Path. And it's just about camaraderie.
Okay.
You know, so when I started doing the pizza hour, and weenies, I just made it known to them, and they all showed up. But they go around to Clear Path to we had Project New. Do you know New Hope in Worcester?
No.
And it's just a group of veterans that just get together and talk and hang out, and it's about camaraderie.
Okay.
We were at Assabet for Veterans Day.
Okay.
And
Talking with the kids?
basically, yes.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
principal, Patrick, emailed me and asked me if I would be willing to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And I said, well, I don't mind. How about if I ask some of the other guys if they want to go? I had 10 guys volunteer.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's really good to be able to kind of put a face to the name for veterans, for the younger folks. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Tom. And with that, we'll be taking a short break.
I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough. Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
All right, welcome back. In this month's Veterans Profile will be Staff Sergeant Harold Arthur LaBelle. Harold was born in 1918 in Marlborough, Massachusetts, the only son of Arthur and Blanche LaBelle. He lived most of his life in Manchester, New Hampshire, and worked as a shoe worker before the war. He enlisted into the New Hampshire National Guard and was mobilized for federal service the 24th of February, 1941. He was assigned to the medical detachment of the 941st Artillery Battalion. He married Pauline LaBelle on Christmas Day, 1943. Harold and 941st received training at Camp Blanding, Virginia, and Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Here, the men received training in the movement, set up, and direct fire support missions of their guns. The unit was next sent to California for desert training. The 941st was sent to England and billeted in Exeter, England, before landing at Utah Beach the 12th of June, 1944. Harold and the men from his artillery battery were assigned directly to the 5th Corps and participated in some of the hardest fighting of the war. He engaged in fire support during the Battle of the Hurricane Forest and during the Battle of the Bulge. Harold was awarded a Bronze Star for rescuing men from a minefield in February of 1945. Harold survived the war, only to die tragically of a non-combat related car accident the 28th of July, 1945. He's buried at the Epinal American Cemetery Memorial in Epinal, France, Plot B, Row 24, Grave 4. And tonight we remember Staff Sergeant Harold LaBelle. And now I'll read for you Staff Sergeant Harold LaBelle's Bronze Star citation from the 941st Field Artillery Regiment. Staff Sergeant Harold A. LaBelle, Medical Detachment, 941st Field Artillery Battalion, While serving with the Army of the United States, distinguished himself by heroic achievement in connection with military operations not involving participation in aerial flight against an enemy of the United States. Staff Sergeant LaBelle's regularly assigned duty is one of supervisory nature, that of being section leader of the medical detachment, 941st Field Artillery Battalion. On 22 February 1945, the battalion, then part of 5th Corps Artillery, was in a firing position in the vicinity of Würzfeld, Belgium, to support operations of the 69th Infantry Division in the phase immediately preceding the breaching of the German Ruhr River defense system. The area occupied by the battalion was one in which mines had been used freely and extensively by retreating Germans, and one which, in spite of the constant efforts of the battalion, starting with the initial reconnaissance for actual positions in the area, had not been completely demined. Upon the above-mentioned date, the first sergeant of Headquarters Battery, assisted by one of the privates of the same battery, was engaged in removing some of the dead stock immediately adjacent to the battalion command posts. In the course of these activities, the private stumbled over a tripwire leading to a cleverly concealed mine. The mine exploded. Staff Sergeant LaBelle, upon hearing the explosion and upon being advised of the nature of the explosion, did not wait to send one of his men to render assistance, but personally rushed to the scene of the accident, although he was fully aware of the risks which such going entailed. When Staff Sergeant LaBelle reached the two men, he found the private was beyond help of first aid measures, and that the first sergeant was seriously injured, having fragments in his right and left upper thighs and his right chest, as well as having multiple wounds to the face. Staff Sergeant LaBelle not only administered prompt first aid treatment, but also personally procured a vehicle and drove the injured man out of the mined area to the nearest clearing station so as to ensure the evacuation and further treatment possible. On 27 February 1945, in the vicinity of Würzfeld, Belgium, a U.S. quarter-ton 4x4 vehicle carrying 3 members of an engineer battalion of the 69th Infantry Division struck a mine, and the 941st Field Artillery Battalion Medical Detachment was notified. As upon the occasion previously cited, Staff Sergeant LaBelle, not wishing to expose any of the other members of his section to whatever danger might be present around the scene of the accident, personally answered the call for assistance. As Staff Sergeant LaBelle approached the damaged quarter-ton and the injured men, he noticed a daisy chain of mines across the road and great quantities of mine and tripwire installations blanketing the fields which flanked the road. As before, Staff Sergeant LaBelle did not stop to consider the serious danger to his own life, but thought only of the need of the 3 engineers. He accordingly went by the most direct route along the road to the injured man and gave immediate first aid treatment. Following this, Staff Sergeant LaBelle acted as a member of a litter team and carried all 3 of the injured men to a vehicle which had been provided for evacuation purposes and which was waiting just outside the minefield. Each of the 3 round trips with the litter meant traversing approximately 1.5 miles of ground, which was definitely known not to have been demined. Staff Sergeant LaBelle was not wounded during the performance of either of these acts. In addition to his participation in the incidents of 22 and 27 February, the service of Staff Sergeant LaBelle in the entire period from his reaching the Normandy beachhead to the present date has constantly reflected a superior degree of technical skill and an attitude of cheerful and conscientious cooperation with the battalion surgeon. Staff Sergeant LaBelle's display of the highest form of leadership by assuming the greatest risks himself in his direction of first aid and evacuation operations, as well as his display of real and undoubted courage in the face of the imminent danger to his own life, reflects most deserved credit upon himself. It was in keeping with the highest standards and traditions of a service long known for its performance above and beyond the call of duty. And now here's some words from Veteran Services with Mike Hennessy.
Thanks, Matt. I met Tom, and I wanted to invite Tom on this. Tom comes to the Vet Talk third Thursday of every month at the Senior Center with a group of veterans. Tom comes to the pizza, second and fourth Tuesday of every month at Linguini's. So I was going to let Tom talk about it because I think camaraderie is great with the veteran population. It's not like the traditional hanging out at the Legion, and having a few drinks. It's actually more conversation and talking over food and coffee. So
Right.
I'll let Tom talk about what they do, because it's not just Marlboro events. They travel all over. And Tom, if you want to explain that, I think it'd be great.
Well, it started out, I think it's just turned 4 years old, the group. And was small to begin with. Now, on a good day, we'll have 25 veterans show up.
Yeah, that's good.
And like Mike said, we talk about anything and everything. And it's not structured. Some of the people that don't come wanted structured meetings. And we don't have structured meetings.
Okay.
This is completely off the wall, literally. And like Mike said, we were in Marlboro one Thursday a month, and in Hudson 3 Thursdays a month.
Okay.
And after the meetings on Thursdays, we usually hang out for a while and go up to Clear Path at Devon's,
Okay.
because they put on a luncheon for veterans.
Okay.
And on Tuesdays, they put on a breakfast. So some of the guys go up for breakfast. I had started to, and then I stopped. I decided I didn't need to go up there anymore for breakfast.
Was it better than the food on the ship?
And hey, anything's better than that. I'll tell you, I don't know how I did it, but when I left home to go to the ship, I weighed 167 pounds. When I came home, I weighed 165. But I didn't eat much.
Can you talk a little bit about ClearPath and what that is and where it is?
It's a volunteer veterans organization
Okay.
that helps feed, clothe, anything that veterans need.
Okay. And that's up at outside Camp Devens, or is it?
It's in the old hospital.
Oh, okay. All
They
right.
remodeled the whole thing and
Yeah.
made it into a place for veterans.
Okay, that's good.
They have various departments there, and they actually train dogs there too,
Okay.
downstairs.
I think it's great, that they get together and it's not in a drinking or even a structured setting. It's just, they just hang out, and at least when I see them, they hang out and pick on each other.
Well, if we can't pick on each other, who can we pick on?
So, but it's friendly. It's good natured, and I think they have a good time. So I think it was great, and nothing really. Veteran Services is always, you can give me a call. My walk-in hours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and you can come on down, and it's not uncommon for the guys at Vet Talk to come in the office and look for me to pick on me.
Oh yeah. So easy target.
He's exactly, yeah.
We have one veteran we all pick on.
Okay.
He's currently in the hospital.
Okay. Did you pick on? Is that what caused him to be in the hospital?
I'm sorry?
Were you picking on him, caused him to be in the hospital? Or?
No. His age. He's 91 years old.
Okay.
Korean War vet.
Okay.
And he lives alone in a condo in Clinton.
He was Air Force, I think, right?
Yeah, he was Air Force. In fact, he was attached to Air Force One for a few years,
Oh wow.
back in the days of Nixon and Johnson.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good group of guys.
And you said that's the fourth Thursday of the month in Marlboro?
Third
Thursday of the month in Marlboro?
No,
Yeah.
it's the fourth.
What's it? Is the fourth?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the fourth Thursday of the month in Marlboro.
At the senior center?
At the senior center.
What time?
Multi-purpose room. I think you guys start showing up at 8:30, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it goes until,
Some guys show up at 8. Whenever they unlock the doors.
And then where do you meet in Hudson?
In the senior center on Pope Street.
Okay. All right.
Not on Pope. It's
And any vets can come if they're in the area and want to have a coffee. And
it's an open forum.
all right, that's good to know. So if anyone's interested in just any conversations, some camaraderie with veterans, we got a couple opportunities there in Marlboro and Hudson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the third Friday of every month, we go to Clinton
Okay.
because they sponsor a breakfast
All right.
for veterans.
I think the Natick Labs has come to you a few times.
Yeah.
And let them try some of the experimental food.
Oh,
And show them some of the experimental, was it the experimental uniform?
Uniforms and that.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so it's a good time if you're a veteran and if you're retired or if you're home, have the day off and you want to go do something. I mean, look these guys up. They're pretty good group of guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got away from Bill Higgins, Air Force veteran, 91 years old.
Okay.
We all pick on him.
Yeah.
Number one, because he has hearing aids that he doesn't wear.
Okay.
Right? And I took him into Jamaica Plain to get him. And then where are they, Bill? On my bureau. They don't do you any good on your bureau. It's supposed to be in your ears. I don't need them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then we'll be talking in the group and he'll be going, what do you say? Huh? And I'll just say, I'm not telling you. Why? said, because you could hear it yourself if you had your hearing aids in.
Might go to make an announcement and
No, can't hear anything.
No.
which is it?
Yeah,
I mean, he's a nice guy, don't think?
yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to translate for him as you
Yeah.
put his hearing aids in.
Right. And his daughter bought him a new iPhone. He had a flip phone. He said, stop working. So she bought him a new iPhone. And he came to the meeting with him. I said, yeah, and who's going to teach you how to use it?
Yeah,
Not me.
yeah.
So I called up and I spoke to him, his son, Billy. Billy said, that's Karen's job.
Yeah,
He's had that thing now for about 6 or 8 months. He still doesn't know how to use it.
yeah,
Every once in a while, my phone will ring. It's him.
yeah.
I answer it. There's nobody there.
That's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom, very much for
Okay,
talking
I'll
with us
be-
today. Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you, Mike, for the info from Veterans Corner.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And with that, we'll see you next month with Veterans Voices.